Schumer, senior senator of the state of New York, will now bring greetings to 2022.
First to the class of 2022. President Boudreaux, all the members of the faculty, the staff, the administrative people, all the way down to the people who keep the place clean at night. You have made City College of New York and the City University one of the greatest institutions of higher learning, not just in New York City, not just in New York State, not just in the U.S., but in the world. Yeah! Let me congratulate my friend Dr. Fauci as well. Now, I'd like to say a word to the parents. I know how you feel. A few short years ago, my wife Iris and I sat where you did and watched our daughter Jessica get her diploma. It was one of the greatest days of our lives. You've been through a lot as parents, not easy raising kids, but now you get to watch all your blood and your sweat and your tears pay off as your son or daughter walks on this stage and becomes an adult before your very eyes. And parents, there's more coming. Last night I was at the hospital at 2:13 a.m. and my daughter gave birth to my granddaughter. Her name, by the way, is Eleanor, named after Eleanor Roosevelt. Okay, and another word another word of thanks. Last week was Memorial Day. We're having a great time here, but there are a lot of young men and young women from this community who are in our armed forces and serving our country, often in dangerous places overseas. I see some of them over there. Let's have a round of applause for them. On a serious note, the memory of those who tragically lost their lives in Buffalo, in Uvalde, in Tulsa, and from so many other senseless acts of gun violence that occur on our street corners. We must do everything possible to get these damn guns and these weapons of war off our streets. To this great class of 2022, the challenges of the last few years, as you know, have really been unique. I'm sure when you enrolled at City College, you knew there'd be a lot of new experiences, but I'm sure you didn't count on a global pandemic. And yet, here you are, having overcome all that, having earned a degree from one of the greatest institutions of higher learning in the world. You overcame immense obstacles to get here. Nothing and nobody can take it away from you. And of course, we have a lot more work to do. Little by little, we're seeing signs that life's returning to normal. It took a lot to reach that point. They are great back there. As Senate Majority Leader, first from New York, I worked hard to pass the American Rescue Plan, which put dollars in the pockets of millions of New Yorkers and hundreds of thousands of our little businesses so they could survive. And right now, I'm pushing to get President Biden to forgive $50,000 in So, graduates, let me just say, you know, we all know this is a time of profound economic and social change. In the old days when you graduated from college, the odds were pretty high. You'd have the same job in the same field for 40, 50 years. That's not true anymore. Most of you will have several jobs, many of you several careers. Along with these economic changes, the internet has put so much information at our fingertips, it's sometimes hard to figure out what's important and what's not, what's true and what's not. And on the internet, unfortunately, often the loudest voices get the most attention. But good news, class of 22, is this about our changing world. No generation is better equipped to overcome the obstacles that these changes present, to seize the opportunities they afford than yours is. But right now, sitting in your seats, you may not be sure what's coming next. With so much of the world changing so rapidly around you, sometimes it may feel like you're jumping into the abyss. But graduates, the key. Don't fear the unknown. Embrace it. Relish it. Soak up every possibility it has to offer and cast aside your fears. My advice to this great class of 2022 is simple. Go for it. And how do I know? Yeah, go for it. All right. Let's get up and go for it. But how do I know about these doubts? I remember feeling them when I was your age. When I was seated at college graduation many years ago, I had just learned that I'd won a scholarship to travel all around the world, all expenses paid for a whole year. For me, it was the opportunity of a lifetime. I came from a family that didn't have much money. My dad was an exterminator. I'd never been out of the country before, so what an opportunity. But at the same time, I met a girl, and I fell in love. So graduates, I had to decide. Do I go around the world on the all-expense-paid scholarship for a year? Or do I stay home with the girl, my first true love? What would you have done for 2022? The class is divided. I stayed home with the girl. The story continues. That summer she went on a brief vacation and I went to the airport to meet her on her return. As soon as she got off the plane, I saw by the look on her face something was the matter. She dumped me by Labor Day. No scholarship. No trip around the world. Over. I said to myself, what a loser you are. You're never going to make anything of yourself. And in fact, I sat in my basement, in my house, moped around for several months, didn't even go out. But somehow I picked myself up, dusted myself off, and moved forward. And a few years later, I found myself seated at graduation once again, this time from law school. But on the way home from college, I told Mom and Dad I wasn't going to join the fancy law firm like we had planned. I told them I wanted to help my community. I told them I loved politics. I told them I wanted to run for public office. That was my dream. Well, my parents were shocked. My mom was particularly disappointed. As I mentioned, I grew up in a working class family. They struggled to send me to college and law school. The law firm, this fancy law firm, was paying $400 a week, more money than my family had ever known. But my heart wasn't in it. My dream was to run for office, and so at the age of 23, against very long odds, I ran for the New York State Assembly, and I had three opponents. There was the party machine candidate, there was a neighborhood activist, and then there was my mother, who was telling all her friends not to vote for me. So she said I'd get this dumb idea of being an elected official out of my big, thick head. Well, graduates, a few years earlier, I sure didn't get that girl. But that November, I won the election. So, to this great class, City 2022, on this day of your achievement, my advice, take the risk. We all have fear of failing. Don't let it deter you. You know, for those of us who've gotten older, some of the toughest moments are what I call the what-ifs. What if I'd only done this? What if I'd only gone there? But you, I know you're about to cast off into the unknown, and I know it's scary. But you've got amazing assets, one of the best undergraduate educations that anyone can get. Families that are always going to have your back through thick and thin. So graduates, garner up your courage, garner up your strength, put aside your doubts, take a chance. And if you do, it is my hope, it is my fervent prayer, and it is my confidence that every one of you, each of you, will achieve true joy and true satisfaction and success in life. To this great class of 2022, congratulations!
Schumer. And now Provost List and President Woodrow will continue the presentation of honorary degrees.
What else should I add? He's leaving.
What's that?
He's leaving.
He's got to go.